午的演讲马上就要开始，请那个把手机调成震动或者是静音，然后还没就座的人请先就座。好的，欢迎大家来到这次的 TGDF 台北开发者论坛。然后我是今天 Round 2的主持人 James。那我们第一场呢，下午第一场会由 Eddie Lee 来为我们主讲。那 Eddie Lee 是为独立游戏工作室 Funktronic Labs 的创办人，还有 VR 体验作品 Co-Leader、Light Spirit 等作品。今天让我们一起来检视 VR 的各种性质与运用方式，以创造更强而有力的体验，并探讨伴随这些新机会所带来的全新挑战。Let's welcome Eddie Lee。
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Eddie Lee. First of all, I just want to say thank you for coming to my talk about VR interactive design. And today I will be talking about what makes a good VR experience, and hopefully impart some knowledge that you may apply to your VR game or app or experience or whatever. So just a little introduction. I know you just gave an introduction on me, but my name is Eddie Lee, and I'm the founder of small game studio in LA called Funktronic Labs. We recently released a game called Nova 111. We also do work for companies like Google, Intel, Leapmotion. And most recently, we shipped a Vive game called Cosmic Trip. Cosmic Trip is essentially a real-time strategy game, sort of like StarCraft, where you're on a foreign planet, you have hostile aliens coming to attack your base, and you essentially have to build a base, build an army, and just defend yourself. It's currently on early access. And personally, I've been thinking about VR and VR interactions for a long time, so I'm very happy to be here to share all this information with all you lovely folks. So, VR, huh? Yeah, just a short time, VR has really exploded. It has really kind of deeply energized and inspired a whole generation, and kind of breathed new life in creative potential for developers and artists alike. It is the first time where the user can experience something from the inside out as opposed to outside in. Outside in as in you looking at your phone, your monitor, your screen, or whatever. This is the first time where you are actually present inside the experience, and it engages you at a very much deeper visceral level than any form of any entertainment ever. For me personally, VR always feels like kind of a lucid dream in the way that your brain kind of tells you that it's sort of not real, right? But deep inside, your heart kind of wants to believe that it's real. And your heart you kind of become transported into this magical land and you experience a different reality than you would experience in your everyday life. And as a VR designer, you can't think of designing a VR experience like you're just literally designing an interactive VR experience. In a way, you should think about VR design sort of like you're designing a dream, and thinking about that way kind of really excites me. And that's where the magic lies. But even deeper than that, I feel like VR truly has the potential to really open people's hearts. And let me tell you a story. This is a VR game that we built a while ago. It's called Light Spirit. It was in conjunction with some fine artists in LA called Friends With You and Nootropics. And essentially, it was a really simple app where you basically encounter this ephemeral light spirit, and you cuddle and you play and you sort of just have this one-to-one intimate experience with them. And last year, we showed it at this art event called Art Basel in Miami Beach. And what was interesting is, we had 100 people come and play the experience, and most of the people there were kind of very, very stern art critics. A lot of like old people who've been like dealing art, with the arms folded, sort of like, let me check out your art. And we had this one guy who was very, very serious, very, very stern, kind of older gentleman. And he was waiting in line, and finally when we got to his turn, we put on the headset on him. And what was interesting is, he just instantly just started to play and interact. And in a minute after he was playing, he was basically on the floor, on his back, just cuddling with this light spirit. And when I heard that, I was like, wow, like this has a real potential to really open people's hearts and really engage them at a very visceral level. And it's powerful enough to make this guy forget that he's an adult, right? Make them feel like he's a kid again. I think that's a very, very important kind of lesson in virtual reality. So anyways, let's take a little step back and just talk about VR in general. So in just a few years, VR has really progressed significantly. Just in 2000, I think it was 2012, where the Oculus Kickstarter was launched. And it was only 2013, just 2 years ago, where the DK1 was shipped out. And now, 2016, we have the Oculus CP1 and the HTC Vive. And for me personally, I feel like the technology has kind of progressed at a very, very dramatic rate. But the design itself of VR experiences still need to play a little catch-up. And right now, I think a lot of people are still being onboarded to VR and just simply just wowed and enamored by the technology itself. And if you can imagine, your first time in virtual reality, it's pretty awesome, right? And I'm sure that it must have been pretty impactful, for y'all to be sitting in a VR design talk. And a lot of people, they're enjoying kind of short experiences like little movies or animations or 360 photos, and I think the shininess of the technology itself is sort of like an emotional buff for the player itself. But I think that will soon fade away, and a lot of players will be kind of left wondering, like, what else is there? Is there some kind of a deeper experience that we can engage in this virtual reality medium? And in this respect, I feel like the VR industry kind of has sort of a correlation to the phone industry. The iPhone, touch devices, and Android when it first came out. And if you remember when the iPhones first came out, there were a lot of very, very gimmicky apps. Like, you have this app right here where you basically click it and it lights the fire. Or you have like little shopping apps and very, very gimmicky apps that were really, really honestly kind of neat when it first started, but soon people were just kind of just tired of apps like that, and people were just wondering what kind of deeper experiences can we have with this home device. And then you have games sort of like Angry Birds, where developers start to understand the true value of this device and really embrace touch as a mechanism. And games like Angry Birds have really taken advantage of it and has really engaged a lot of people. And basically the lesson is respect the medium. Think deeply about VR, and is your VR a VR native experience, or are you kind of bringing baggage from like a previous medium? A good example of that would be like the virtual D-pad. And this is a very clear example of games kind of not respecting the medium. And I think a lot of developers, when we first started, they just thought that you could sort of port a gamepad game over to a touch device, just sort of placing this skeuomorphic virtual D-pad, and assume that the game would be as enjoyable, as intuitive as playing Super Mario on Nintendo. But the problem is, the reason why gamepad works is you have a lot of, with your controller, you have a lot of haptic feedback and response. Like when you press the B button to make Mario jump, you feel the button click down, and you could just assume at a very, very innate level, intuitive level, that Mario is going to jump. But with iPhone, you press B, you don't really feel that haptic feedback, and there's kind of this cognitive dissonance within the medium. Essentially, this talk could be called How to Not Virtual D-Pad Your Game. And thus, I present to you, boom, my pyramid of dope VR experiences. And essentially, it's sort of a lens for a designer to view the design of the VR experience. And for the rest of the talk, I'll be basing it upon this image, working from the bottom foundational layer of presence and building upwards until the magical feeling of VR. So let's start off with presence. I do realize that any of you kind of go to any talks or read any blogs. Presence is in every single article that you read, and I'm sure you're sick of hearing about it, but I feel like a lot of emphasis is placed on presence itself, but I would argue that it was only a foundational layer, and presence, from what I understand, is mostly a technical problem. It's merely foundational, and it's merely what is needed to develop a solid VR experience. So presence, for those who might not know, is the feeling or perception of being physically present in a non-physical world. And essentially, it's tricking the brain into thinking that you are there in a virtual environment. In fact, you're not. And it's mostly hijacking the user senses, like vision, touch, and sound, to provide engrossing but entirely artificial environment. If it's done correctly, it can really suspend user sense of disbelief. And delivering the basic feeling and presence of VR, I feel like mostly a technical problem, like I said before. Human vision encompasses about 2/3 of our sensory input. So in order to have a good VR experience, obviously you have to have the vision problem solved. And Michael Abrash, chief scientist of Oculus, listed a few things that you needed to achieve within the VR HMD in order to achieve that feeling of presence. One is having a good field of view. Presence starts to work somewhere around 80 degrees field of view, and improves as you go wider. Resolution, ideally, something like 4K per eye. Not realistic right now. Vibe and riff is about 1K per eye, and it's pretty good. Ideally, basically, you just want to be able to not be able to see each individual pixel, and the fencing between pixels is really, really immersion breaking. You have to have low persistence, less than about 3 milliseconds. The longer the pixels persist, the more smearing and a bunch of other stuff, like tracking optics and all that. And it's not just vision, even though vision is 2/3, audio affects it as well as a huge factor. And you could sort of think of headphones as a VR headset for your ears. And hearing the sound in general tells you a lot about sort of the environment that you're in. If you're in a wet, damp cave, you'll have a lot more sort of like reverb. And reverb also, or acoustic properties, sort of like reverb, also informs like the size of the room and sort of the material that the room is in. And a lot of other things, sort of like 3D positioning of audio. If you hear a sound coming from the right side, the sound actually travels to your right ear first, and then there's this thing called acoustic shadowing, where it basically passes through your head, applies sort of a low-pass filter, and it hits your left ear at a different time. And at a very, very subconscious level, it tells the brain that the sound's coming from the right. Also, like when sound's coming from above, sound actually bounces from your chest and it goes upward. And your brain can pick up on that at a very, very nuanced subconscious level. And there's a lot of things like that in order to have a convincing spatial audio. Jesse Shell of Shell Games kind of gave a really, really good analogy of VR presence. He said that VR presence is sort of like this bubble right here. It's very, very precious, extremely delicate, and anything could basically pop and destroy that bubble, destroy your sense of presence. So every grass blade, for example, can be represented by, for example, like a drop in frame rate, or something jarring, like your 3D model suddenly have like your LED popping in, having compressed textures and bad normal maps and stuff like that. Basically, having that feeling of presence and immersion is extremely precious, and you just have to consider that anything will break, so you have to take extra care in order to preserve it and uphold that sense of immersion. Okay, so having a good sense of presence, I think, is mostly a foundational layer. And if we stop right here at the sense of presence, and before the interaction, you basically have non-interactive VR experiences. And that's something like 360 video and stuff like that. I'm not hating on 360 video, I think it's really cool, but oftentimes when you're watching a 360 video, for me at least personally, I kind of feel like a ghost within this VR environment. And essentially, if you cannot interact with the world, it doesn't exist. Which brings us to our next level, interaction. So being able to touch and manipulate the environment, for me, is what makes the world feel real. And as humans, we sort of understand and engage with the world, not only by seeing, but by feeling and touching and just interacting with the environment itself. So as an extreme example, let's say one day you're just magically teleported to this magically beautiful and lush, amazing, beautiful, majestic garden, right? And it's really beautiful, very vivid colors, a lot of beautiful flowers. But say you cannot interact. Say your hands are sort of tied to your body and renders your sense of touch basically useless. And that would sort of take away from this whole level of engagement, right? You won't be able to, feel the textures of the flowers or the plants, or brush your hands across the grass, or jump in the water, climb a tree. It's just the environment might look absolutely beautiful, but if you're unable to touch and feel and interact with the world, the user will be missing out on this whole level of engagement. Now, it's not a lot, right? Touching is what makes the world feel like a real world. That's why all the biggest headset producers right now are focusing on having a touch solution. Oculus has the touch controllers, Mobile has the Vive controllers, and PSVR has the Move controllers. And so for interaction, you need to have tracking of your hands, positional, XYZ, and rotational, 6 degrees of freedom, overall. And also needs haptics. Haptics is referring to sort of simulating the sense of touch using force feedback motors. And haptics can communicate force, communicates weight, communicates texture, and which is a lot of how we learn about the world through touch. And I think that haptics still has a lot of room for improvement. For right now, it's basically vibration and vibrational strength. You cannot really tell vibrationality or any resistance, like if you're pushing a table across the floor. In VR, you don't have that sensory resistance. And if you had it, it'll tell you a lot about sort of the friction of the surface and the weight of the table and all that. And hopefully one day you'll have that sort of. Yes, like I said, you can infer a lot about the environment just by closing your eyes and just touching it. Like for example, this girl right here is petting a dog. Is the dog organic and fluffy like a real dog, or is it sort of like a robot? It feels metallic, maybe cold, maybe very sleek, or maybe you're feeling like a slimy organic snail or something like that, or passing your hands through like a field of grass. There's a lot of things that you'll be missing out if the sense of touch was removed. And another example would be like, for example, what happened? So one example would be, for example, if you had like a lot of things in your pocket, right? You have like your cell phone, your wallet, your keys, your coins, or whatever. You don't really need to look into your pocket to figure out what you need. Basically, just stick your hands in and just feel like your keys probably feel metallic, your coins probably feel metallic as well. your phone has a different texture. You could just infer a whole bunch of things about the material or about what you're interacting with just by touching it. And haptics not only communicate like texture, it can also communicate time and space. And for those of you who have a Vive, I'm pretty sure you've seen this screen a million times. Basically, it's a room setup drawing boundaries of your Vive play area. And what's cool about this is, when you're doing a room setup, I actually think that's kind of fun because it just feels good to be able to take a controller and drag it around. But what's interesting is that, every few inches or so, you'll have this haptic pulse, kind of informing the player at a very, very subconscious level, sort of the position of the controller in time and space. Another good example of that would be Fantastic Contraption, a game about building cool gadgets and cool contraptions. And one example would be sort of this stick that you can elongate. So you could resize it, you could pull it to be as long as you want or as short as you want. And what's interesting is sort of like the room setup where you can kind of close your eyes and then elongate it. And every inch or so, it does a little haptic pulse. And it kind of informs your brain at a very, very subconscious level, sort of the length of it. So you don't even need to be looking at it to really understand what is going on. Okay, and this is a GIF from our game Cosmic Trip. And we thought a lot about how to design haptics to make it feel like you're actually interacting with the environment. And what's going on here is you have your basic controller. This is the basic controller that you use to interact with the environment. It's sort of like this sci-fi vacuum. You could vacuum object and throw them in the vacuum again. We wanted to communicate a lot of things like sort of the force of, when you pull the trigger, the thing opens up, there's a haptic pulse, and it starts to vibrate like you're turning on a vacuum. And when an object gets pulled to your device, depending on the weight of the object, depending on the current velocity of the object, it would affect the magnitude of the shape. So then, if the object was light, you only have a very, very small, minor haptic feedback, or if it's kind of heavy like this battery, it'll have a very, very impactful haptic. And it's not only informing like texture and force, it can also inform sort of the physicality and the texture of the object itself. So for example, in the light spirit is essentially composed, it's not a real organic animal, it's this ephemeral being that's composed mostly of light and energy. And we really, really wanted to communicate and sell the fact that this is not real, this is more to like a magical creature that you're playing and interacting with. So we have it such that when you first touch the the light spirit, you have this haptic pulse, and then you can start to caress it throughout its body. And it gives a very, very electric feel of having, sort of vibrations. And it makes the player really feel like you're touching this energy creature. And it really does make a huge difference. So I guess what I'm saying is like, when you're designing haptics within your virtual reality experience, definitely consider like the materiality, the physicality, and everything that's involved to really sell the idea that this object is real. So we talked about physical interaction, and built on top of that is time and physicality, and how the player senses time and physicality of the experience really enhances the realism and sort of the beauty of the experience. We as humans are very physical beings. We understand the world, by physically touching with it. Our brains are wired to engage with objects to understand the physicality of the medium, and so you could better understand and project how objects and things would behave, interact, and move through space. For example, we understand in basketball not just how it looks, but how it moves, right? Basketball is really, really fun to play with. And if you close your eyes and imagine yourself holding a basketball, you're probably dribbling it. And it's fun to bounce because, when you bounce the ball, you're mentally tracking the ball as it goes up and down. And when it successfully reaches your palm, your reptilian brain sends good vibes to your and lets you know and rewards your body or rewards your brain with letting you know that you did a good job. And the same reason why bow and arrow VR application feels so good. You have the VR, the lab, the longbow experiment, your hollow point, and it's just really, really fun to just grab a bow, pull it, and shoot it. And the reason why it feels good is because you're tracking your target in space, you're pulling the bow to launch the arrow, and when the arrow flies in the air and hits the target, you know that the mental model of what you think the trajectory of the arrow would be matches exactly how you executed it, and your brain once again rewards you with good vibes. And VR is the first medium where you have this sort of one-to-one relationship with the object that you're interacting with physically. And the more reward you can give the players, the more understanding of the physicality of objects they would have. And basically, the more fun and visceral the experience becomes. And from a UX perspective, there has been kind of a gradual progression of computer interfaces towards from more abstract to a more direct and natural interface. So we start off, with keyboards, and it's very, very good in terms of communicating language. But still, there's a large learning curve in order to be effective. And then you have the mouse, which is becoming a little more natural. You have the position of your mouse that correlates to the position of the cursor, but there is this translation that has to go on, and it's kind of abstracted as well. And then now, you have your cell phone touch devices. And essentially, it's very, very almost one-to-one correlation of you touching objects within the cell phone, manipulating, sliding, and just pulling things around in VR. But still, it's in 2D. In virtual reality, it's the first where you have this immediately clear, one-to-one, natural interaction. In our game, Cosmic Trip, we kind of were discussing how to develop a menu. Ideally, I think in a VR application, you would not have a menu, but because our game is real-time strategy in nature, and you have a lot of purchasing and buying and building bases as a mechanic, we had to go with sort of a menu. So we tried a lot of different things, and ultimately what we discovered is the more physical you could design your menu to be, the more fun and engageable the experience will become. And for this example, you have, you press a button to launch the menu, and then when you let go, the object kind of moves physically and has a high air resistance and drag. And then you kind of play with these buttons, sort of like a children's toy. And you just pull objects and buy them, and it, I don't know, it feels pretty fun to just use. And for those who are looking for inspirations on VR interactions that they could develop, my advice would just be to just go outside and play. Physically go outdoors, go climb a tree, go swimming, go play ball, catch a ball with your friends. Try a new sport, whatever you like, basically. And simply playing outdoors is an infinite resource of inspiration. If you find something that's fun to do in real life, you might want to consider how you would want to apply that feeling into your VR experience. But I also feel like it goes beyond just having fun. I think the physicality of the experience goes even deeper than just entertainment. I think we as humans, we develop a certain kind of abstract intelligence surrounding the physicality of the medium, like the physicality intelligence. And for example, why is it that when you're really, really enjoying a song, why is it that you don't just sit there and just listen? When you're really enjoying a song, you actually get up and dance. You kind of dance as if the song was actually moving through you, making your arms move, making you bob your head or whatever. You internalize the music through dance, and the act of dancing is how you really engage with the song. I guess what I'm trying to say is, to fully understand the medium or experience, you have to consider a lot of different senses, a lot of axes, such as vision, sound, and touch, and to make sure that the complete experience is thought through. Okay, so now we have kind of physicality out of the way. On top of that, we have what I call coherence. And for me, coherence means having the entire experience feel very coherent and also very consistent in terms of the sound, the visuals, the behavior. They all have to believe in a way that mentally what you expect. And if it doesn't, it causes some sort of cognitive dissonance. It's very frustrating. Sometimes it feels very unpolished and disorienting. So essentially, just make sure that your experience itself has a very consistent feel, and you would be able to make the experience feel very polished. So a good example of a VR game that has good coherence is Job Simulator. In Job Simulator, the aesthetic is very kind of stylized, cartoony, and simple. It's very low quality. And because the graphics are very, very simple, you sort of don't have high expectations for the behavior of the application. So if you ever experienced it, you could just pick up a donut and eat it, and you're surprised, like, wow, I can't believe I could eat the donut. Or you could use a copy machine and copy like a stapler, and you're just thinking, wow, I didn't think the copy machine would actually work. The human brain accepts the world as sort of the simplified version of reality, so it doesn't expect much, and everything that you kind of give to the player sort of becomes a pleasant surprise. But say, for example, at the other side, the graphics were not cartoony. Say, they want to focus on hyper-realistic, super photorealistic graphics. They pour a lot of research intelligence on just making textures, the models, the lighting, everything spot on, and basically reality itself. However, being so hyper-realistic, especially in virtual reality, you kind of would expect behaviors, physics, and everything to react exactly how it would behave in real life. And if it doesn't, it just feels jarring, awkward, and weird. And for example, you have this pile of paper, and if you try to ruffle it in VR, maybe if they didn't implement super perfect soft body physics, then maybe the paper would just move as if it was one piece. That's because in order to emulate the physics of having paper bend is time-consuming. Or say, for example, you have a coffee right there, and you actually tilt it over. And if you didn't really model fluid dynamics, the coffee would not really pour out of the spout realistically. Or even if it did pour out realistically, say it didn't absorb into the paper, how you would expect coffee to absorb into paper, and just leaves you feeling kind of whoa, this is not real. And as I mentioned earlier with the bubble, it instantly bursts and reminds you that this reality is not real, and eject the brain from this sense of immersion. But if you really want to go high-end visuals, you better have sort of the budget and the resources to be like Naughty Dog. And in this GIF is a scene from Uncharted 4. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this image before. And essentially, Nathan Drake, the main character, shoots this random pile of rocks at a random location. And you notice that you have these rocks kind of sliding in a very, very realistic physical manner. And a company like Naughty Dog has the affordance to develop such a, to have their behaviors and physics sort of match the realism of the graphics. And basically the moral of the story is, especially in virtual reality, art direction is very, very important. Not only is it used for visual communication, it completely sets the expectation of how things should behave. And this kind of brings us to this famous concept of the uncanny valley. And I think the way most people understand the uncanny valley is through visuals, right? The more realistic a character becomes, the more you could have a higher empathetic response to it, until it kind of hits this uncanny valley, those Japanese robots, where it just feels kind of weird to kind of stare at them. In order to kind of get outside of the uncanny valley, you basically have to mimic reality itself. But I would argue that the uncanny valley is not simply one-dimensional. It's not just a factor of the visuals. You know, I feel like it's in-dimensional such that behaviors and visuals all have to interact. So if you have high visual fidelity, but your behaviors are not in par with it, then you also dip into the uncanny valley. Or else if you had high visual fidelity, high behavior, but your sound design is not also high fidelity, then you also could dip into the uncanny valley as well. And I guess the moral of this story would be, you know, developers tend to focus a lot of their attention on visuals, but you definitely have to consider behavior interactions as first-class citizens, especially in virtual reality. Everything should always feel consistent and coherent. Okay, so that was the layer of coherent. You know, we went through all presence, interaction, time, physicality, coherence, and finally, we'd be able to deliver the feeling of magic, which is sort of truly what we all want, right? Not just as VR developers, but sort of as game developers. We want to develop games because we want to create this fantastic world for players to kind of immerse themselves in, and to suspend the sense of disbelief emotionally and physically, and to allow the user to enter into your magical world. Is deep down, I feel like, as game developers, what we want. We basically want to play God, right? And with all these foundational layers complete, you can finally, I feel, transport the player into these feelings of magic. You know, this GIF itself is from my friend Kabibo's game called Blarp. And the Blarp is really simple. You basically swing these little Blarpies around the world and just collect more. And it feels great. But it's also like very weird in a good way. Like the visuals and everything are kind of unlike anything in real life. But then the reason why an experience like Blarp feels kind of magical and kind of just polished is because it's very coherent. It also has all those foundational layers that I mentioned before, such as presence, interaction, time, physicality. And after you're able to have those foundational layers set, finally you could kind of deliver that feeling of magic. It's sort of like, you know, your favorite song. If you think about, you know, your favorite song, in order to be a very, very beautiful and amazing song, you have to, the drummer has to be on beat, you know, also, you know, the musician, the guitarists, bassists, or keyboards all have to be on beat. You know, if it's a string instrument like the guitar, bass, they have to be tuned. You know, all these things are like prerequisites, and sort of like this case in virtual reality where you have to have these foundational layers in order to deliver that magical experience. And in our game Cosmic Trip, you know, we're trying to solve the virtual reality problem of locomotion. And we solved it sort of by being able to pull up these teleports and then jump in and you magically teleport into another area. And we designed, or we did a lot of iterations in order to finalize, you know, this specific design. You know, we considered a lot of layers, having the teleporter feel like you're pulling up an object, you know, time and physicality. We have the sound such that, you know, we pull up there's this really nice boom. And when you're finally able to step in, you're sort of magically teleported into another area. And I don't know, I feel it's kind of cool. I feel that deep inside, you know, I think humans are naturally kind of drawn to these magical experiences. Like, why do all of us love to watch fireworks, or can really, really appreciate the beauty of a starry night, or even something more abstract, you know, like beauty or love? VR itself is sort of a magical experience if you completely ignore the technology itself. You know, when we were kids, you know, the world was kind of filled with imagination and wonder, and as you grow old, your brain synapses kind of start to harden into the reality of, you know, the environment that you live in daily life. I think that deep within, people are still drawn to magical experiences because it makes the world feel like it has a sense of purpose and meaning, and that we're not just all kind of bags of meat floating in space, which is pretty depressing. I feel that virtual reality allows us to jump into fictional, non-fictional worlds and experience world experiences that are completely outside of the realm of real life, and it definitely has the potential to expand human consciousness. And I feel like most importantly, VR reminds us that there's a lot more to the world than we're seeing. So, thank you. It's been an honor.
好，那现在是问答时间，有没有人有问题？
Obviously, when apps are being developed, they're imperfect in many ways across your whole triangle. I'm just curious if you have developers that have problems with sim sickness during the development stage, when if the camera's bad or the frame rate bad or any of the other things that can cause these difficulties, and how do you deal with that as a development team?
So he was asking about how we dealt with motion sickness, right?
Or any other kind of sim sickness that come from any imperfections in the.
Well, there's one scientific reason of why you would feel sick, and a lot has to do with mostly like accelerating and decelerating through space, and also like the tracking, which I feel is a factor of the game engine that you're using. We use Unity. Essentially, it's more of a technical problem of how to make your game run smoothly in correlation with the HMD tech itself.
So did you have any issues of your development team?
Oh yeah, we definitely have. Your first iteration of the game is definitely was slow. It's not 90 frames a second. Yeah. I feel like as a virtual application, you definitely need it to be 90 frames a second, or else you definitely start to feel a little motion sickness. We did a lot, like upgrading from Unity 5.3 to 5.4, which it had the double wide rendering. Allowed us to jump from like a 9.8 millisecond rendering loop into a 1.4 or something like that, dramatically decreasing and allowing us to hit that 90 frames a second that is so critical. Also, a lot of like standard game development practices like LEDs, batch rendering, just graphical technical things.
还有其他人有问题吗？如果
那我想请问一下，说我们在开发 VR 的时候，有时候要避免玩家，
不好意思，可以用英文问。
我听得懂，可是
就是玩家，例如说墙壁，他会走进去，那你们有没有在开发上要怎么去避免玩家做这些行为？
Can you translate?
Just the player walking through a wall or jump into the lava, but that's not.
Oh, okay. For us, we have a lot of visual cues in order to make it such that you understand the center of your play space. We have in Project Trip like this little circular pad that you stand on. And also, Vive itself has a chaperone system, so if you start to walk towards the wall, you get like these cyan-graded lines telling you that you're about to hit something. But as in defining the boundaries of your VR experience, we haven't really done that. I think a lot of games have actually tracked, how far your bounds are and actually put kind of landmarks around it. But for us, we have not considered it.
Are you developing with the HTC Vive or Oculus or PC?
We're doing both.
Both.
Yeah.
I want to ask, have you tried other local motions or like running or RIP motion?
We tried a lot of different local motions. Like we tried one where you started on a Segway, and if you lean forward, you kind of go for it. But it never feels right for us at least.
Motion sickness or?
It was kind of, it wasn't motion sickness in the traditional sense, like a roller coaster ride in virtual reality, but it definitely felt weird and not natural. And for teleportation, you pull it up and you walk through, and we have, it was a delicate balance in terms of, if you teleport too quickly, you just be disoriented, you don't know where you are. But if you teleport, if you go too slowly, you start to feel motion sickness. So we have to play around with those numbers in order to make the experience feel good. With running, no, we didn't try that.
Yeah, second question. The other one is, you said you upgrade to Unity 5.4. Did you also implement the lab render?
We did actually try the Valve lab render, but we had some problems because we had a lot of custom shaders, and yeah, we just haven't really converted totally to it. But I understand that it could really dramatically lower your rendering time.
So you already achieved over 90 FPS?
Yes, we're hitting 90 frames a second on the NVIDIA GTX 970.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I find it very interesting, like when you develop VR, you try to tackle deeper sides of psychology and response, and especially explaining, trying to explore the depth and realness of fun with feedback. But I was wondering, what about something a little bit more polar to fun, like pain? How would you try to deal with that in a game?
Pain, like emotional pain?
Well, emotional pain or feedback pain, because in some games, I think the feeling of like time is probably very crucial.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough because it's really hard to simulate how it would feel to die in virtual reality, right? We haven't really played too much with it. We do, in our game project, the player has health. We tried a lot of different things in order to communicate health, such as literally having like a number in front of you, like a HUD element, saying like you have 3 out of 5 hearts left. But it didn't feel right because taking damage, at least from a virtual reality perspective, where everything's 1-to-1, you want to feel very viscerally when you're taking damage. You want to kind of feel how it is when you're at low health. We're trying a few different things. I think like Uncharted, a lot of games like that, start to desaturate the scene and start to play around with the sound, adding a low pass filter, adding some effects, and none of that feels like very scary, like as if you're about to die in real life. Yeah, I don't really know the answer to that. It takes a lot of experimentation, I think.
I like very much your game, the Cosmic Track. I just buy and I play a lot. And I noticed like the little, there are little robots in your game. It do just nothing, but very cutie. You will wait with you.
Yes.
It's like something a company or friend. Just like the robot dog in the lab, or just like the weird cat in the fantasy world. Something like that. I think I want to ask how you think about to do something like this. It's a friendly design, and it will interact with you actively. Because in most of the VR games, we feel very lonely as well. Because all the things you will interact with me is something like kill me, or I just want to kill me. And something like these QT robots give something the sensation of friendly. I think you will something more about it.
So for the friend bot itself in Cosmic Trip, so in Cosmic Trip we have sort of this cute little friend bot that it has no really much of a function besides being your friend. And exactly what he said, where like in virtual reality stuff, in our game, you're on this foreign alien planet. It's already like virtual reality, if not already isolating itself. Being on a foreign planet, mysterious planet, also feels very isolating. So we were considering, how to make it feel like a little more, how to soften the edges a little, make it a little more friendlier experience, which is why we sort of put that friendbot in the game. And when we first started, it didn't really do anything. It just kind of just hung out and played music. But after a lot of playtests, we started to see that a lot of people really, really liked the friendbot. Like they wanted to play and cuddle and pet it as if it was a real life pet. And which is why we kind of started to consider it as like a kind of a playmate. And yeah, we kind of did not expect a lot of people to get that engaged with it, but people have been pretty into it.
Okay, 还有人有问题吗？
Excuse me, sir. I want to ask a question. You play VR. You in almost time you still stay the place, and you can't move out of the room because it still has range. Like HTC's W2 shooting game, you still stay in the bunker and you can't move outside. Like if you play The Elder Scrolls, play the Fallout in VR, and you can't use walk to move cities to another cities or forced to do an adventure. And if you want to solve this problem, what would you do?
You mean like how would I be able to move around in virtual reality? Is that the question? I'm sorry. Yeah, so I think a lot of games are tackling this problem called the locomotion problem. Like you are bound within this virtual reality, but it's kind of a shame because in virtual reality you're immersed in this really, really amazing environment, and you want to kind of walk around, right? But because of the physical reality of the technology itself, you cannot really walk around. So a lot of games, budget cuts, and a lot of games like that allow you to just kind of choose a location and click and teleport there. I think people are also trying, like you were saying, running and stuff like that. And for our game, we have teleporters because it's kind of thematic to the art style. Honestly, I feel like the locomotion problem still has a lot of room for experimentation, and I'm pretty confident that someone in the near future will find this amazing solution where you could just be able to move around in the virtual environment seamlessly. Because right now, a lot of these implementations feel very artificial, right? It doesn't really feel like you're moving around, you're kind of like teleporting around or whatever. But it doesn't feel like you're really moving around in this world in a meaningful way. So we'll just have to see.
Question. When you develop the VR software on the HTC, it's difficult to ship to the Oculus or other device. If yes, need to take how much lead time from one device to the other device?
Ideally, I feel like if you were to develop for both platforms, you would consider it from the beginning, because there's a lot of limitations, different limitations, right? With Oculus itself, you have that sensor in front, but then the problem is you won't be able to turn around because it's not like the HTC Vive lighthouses where you have one here, one there, and you're able to walk around and turn around without losing track. For Oculus, you turn around, it might not see your hand. The signal gets occluded and basically cannot track your hand positions. Although it can track your head position because you have sensors on the back of your headset. I guess the answer would be you would have to, if you really, really wanted to have both, you would have to kind of aim for the lowest common denominator, or you would have to redesign a lot of aspects. For our game, you're able to walk around in 360 and turn around and interact and build things in VR. With the Oculus Rift, though, we're kind of considering more of a linear approach, like having a map designed such that all the enemies always come from this one direction, sort of like tower defense. So then the player is always engaged in this forward direction. Yeah, it's all comes to design, I feel.
还有人有问题吗？好，如果没有的话，那我们这场演讲就到此结束。那我们再次以掌声热烈感谢。那下一场演讲会在3点开始，那现在可以离席。